Yes, everybody, you know what time it is. Another win, another feast of the big Ange ball. It's good to be back. It's good to be watching Spurs once again. And we woke up pretty early. I know Jacob had to wake up pretty early for the big Ange ball, but he was fed something good, and he was fed a 2-0 win down south. The Spurs undefeated start in a way keeps going. I'm probably stretching it and probably getting a bit ahead of myself by even saying that, but it's good to still say it. Good to have a good front three today. Let's, at some stage talk about our front three and see how they perform. But we got a front three of the Yanks today, and we're going to start with my neighbor here. Good to see you, Nick. How are you keeping, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, Jacko, man. Ange ball for life is what I'm yelling every day, man. Right out the window.
Where are you getting that tattooed?
Right where the sun don't shine, so I can show it to every gooner that walks by.
Getting any Ange
But yeah,
tats?
man, I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. There was a lot of good things, a couple of disappointments, but it's a very solid win, so you can't really be disappointed. But there are some questions that do need to be asked, but I think we all know what those questions are.
Sure. And we will be asking them. But you getting any Ange tats anytime soon, Jacob? Anything that's gonna go on the other sleeve or the other arm?
Low key, I want Ange's face right here. So every time, just give him kisses, besos for my manager. I mean, waking up at 5 a.m., getting ready for a 5:30 a.m. kickoff. I think anyone abroad knows the pain. Australia, those time zones, you wake up at obscene hours, but at least you're waking up to a full course meal. I sat up, and the first 30 seconds was like, this is tough, But then after about a minute, I was like, oh yeah. Oh, who's that? Where's he going? What's he doing with that? And it's just waking up is totally different because with Antonio Conte, love the guy, very successful away from Tottenham. But whenever I'd be waking up at 5:15, I'm like, I'll just wake up. I'm just 15 more minutes, 10 more minutes. Whereas now what's the lineup? What's Ainge thinking today? And so it's a lot different, even before kickoff for me, waking up so terribly, terribly early. But you know what? I don't mind anymore. I really don't. When I saw 5:30, I was like, cool. Perfectly fine with me. Whereas I used to dread it. I'm going to watch a 1-0 win versus Bournemouth away. It's going to be boring for 80 minutes of it. It's just a totally different vibe. So easy to wake up when you got something beautiful to wake up to like that.
No, it feeds the soul, that's for sure. And I definitely woke up pretty early, but wasn't dreading it as much as I have in the past, or didn't even wake up in fear like I have in the past, because that was also the case. I feel like, last season where you just sort of were, waking up at crazy hours, and then you were still kind of terrified of what was going to be coming in the next hour and a half. So yeah, I could see where things are definitely different. Let's get to the chat here quickly, and then we'll get to hear what these guys have to say on this match today. Shane O'Neill, good to see you, my friend. He said, so reach for the sky and hold your head up high for tonight and every night. You're super star. I don't even know the song. I tried to guess it quickly. Anybody have a clue of the song that he's alluding to here, Mr. Shane?
Nah, he's gonna have to send in a fan cam. And
only thing the only thing that's ringing in my head right now is "If you are what you say you are." That one. That's the only one that I can hear. Have no fear. He almost had a goal today. What a guy.
Yeah.
I love that. Well done, Jacob. That was a good one. I like that. Tequila 316. Introduce yourself, mate. He's introducing yourself to the scene. Stevie Frazier says Arsenal bringing the cherry to put on top of the great day and performance by us. 12:30 kickoff. Come on, you Spurs. Yeah, really. Spurs are absolutely smashing, that 12:30 kickoff or midday kickoff kind of voodoo that we used to have in the past. Mia W's in the house. Hopefully you're keeping well. Mia, she says, can't be on with you, but here in the chat and in spirit. Massive win. Romero looking saucy. Come on, you Spurs. Coys. Choo-choo. All aboard the happy clapper train. She's not feeling her best today, everybody, Mia. So everybody do wish her,
big up, Mia.
Wish her, some good Greek food or something, that can some better Ange ball, to warm her spirits. But I believe she might have happy clapped a bit too hard, or maybe she's just she's just she's on vacation. She's surrounded by good family right now, Mia. So she's not joining us as she normally would. But she's also I think in need of some good spirits. So it's good to have you at least in the chat. Yeah,
hopefully still with your brother too. Saw him on your channel the other day. It was very nice. Nice to meet your brother. His name's Jack as well.
Do you know any good Greek food that sort of is on the healthy side, that would repair oneself, Jacob, by chance?
Souvlaki or
Mm.
saganaki. One of those two, depending if you want something for after a meal or you want the meal itself. Saganaki is actually not healthy. It's just fried feta cheese with some honey, but it's
Oh,
so
but
damn.
it's so good.
Oh, it's so good.
That can
So
still
good.
repair oneself. Don't say that
It
it
will
doesn't.
repair the soul for sure.
And there you are, man. Get it in the Saganaki or the Souvlaki. Both sound really good. There you are, man. Appreciate the support as well. And we'll have you all aboard the Happy Clapper train next week, hopefully. Dark Sun G's in the house as well. And he says, LOL, we beat Bournemouth while the Gooners drew versus 10 men. I'm actually shocked they found a way to still screw that up because I felt like Fulham sort of took their foot off the gas, or maybe they really went hard for that first 60 minutes and then they really started to fall apart. But somehow the Gooners were able to fall apart themselves. And especially at home, where maybe there was a bit of doubt starting to creep in about the season, it's definitely nice to see them in full meltdown. While we're kind of just sitting here grinning, smirking like we were last week against Man United. Arsenal are definitely feeling a very different vibe right now, Dark Sun G, that's for sure. And also, considering how much of a banana peel Bournemouth were last season for us, just feels good to kind of get out of this, squeaky clean. Big up to you, my friend. IrishHotspur is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. We also have Stinging Nettle, Leo, and Lego. Hopefully you're keeping well, my friend. He says, good win. Destiny, Jamie, all played well. Big up to Fulham as well. Yeah, they pulled off a good result for us. Dunkel Z Torque, what a day. And the Gooners losing points at home versus Fulham against 10 men is just the cherry on top. Everybody buzzing off of that Arsenal game. Were you able to catch any of it, Jacob, at all?
I was, but I was watching the Goal Rush on Peacock over here in the States, and it was showing United versus Nottingham Forest, which was quite entertaining as well. But I do have the updates on my phone. Anytime Adama Traore steps foot on a pitch, I am alerted. So don't worry. My eyes were solely focused on that. He could have won him the game. He could have gone down for a penalty, but he's too strong, too manly. He's not Richarlison. But anyway, yeah, I did see it. Love it. Anytime Arsenal get just taken by 10 men. I mean, what more can you say? It's kind of funny because Nottingham Forest was taking it to United with 10 men as well. It's almost like when you go down to 10, you play a little more open and free because you're just kind of going for it. So good to see that.
Who doesn't love Adama Traore also running at full speed, seeing the motorboat, going at full strength there. It really is fun. You absolutely hearing the engine noises behind him. Big up to Moondog. Hopefully you're keeping well. JR, good to see you in the house as well. Andy Wen, hopefully you're keeping well, my friend. Andrew Seymour. We are the famous Tottenham, the mighty Tottenham Hotspur. We are Andrew Seymour. Good to see you in the chat, my friend. Swim Masters here as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. Patty Harnett. Too many Americans want my Irish fella back on. Only joking, guys. Hope you're all well. I must say, the mic on Dave's was sounding a bit too Irish, and then mine has been sounding a bit too American recently. So hopefully, we can get some tech team on this and maybe switch voices. But any way that you can switch the mic to a bit more Irish sounding, Nick? Would you know how to pull that
Listen,
off?
man, we're working on the vocoder to give you an accent whenever Dave goes off.
I need it.
It has to go take a dive. We can just hit the button, switch it off. But the AI isn't developed yet. We're working on it. It'll get there by the end of the season.
We'll get there, Patty. We'll get there. Appreciate your patience, my friend. Good to see you in here as well. William McKenzie's in the house. Big up to you, my man. Good to see you. We also have Teddy Lark. Good to see you, Teddy. Dark Sun G as well with another one. He's saying, with Ange Ball, we are not afraid of facing these teams anymore. Do you agree with that, Nick? In the past, these were slippery slopes. These were.
Yeah, I mean, how many points have we dropped? How many points have we dropped over the last 3 seasons, even to lower table teams, man? Because we can't break them down. Because we stick to the counterattacking system, and there's just no way through them. Right now, it's a whole different ball game. These teams have to learn how to play against us now. So, I'm very excited. Once again, and one of our front three scored. How about that for a turn up? So things are coming together, man. As we were mentioning in the last couple of weeks, man, we're just starting to see things gel this way, and I think everybody in the league has started to get a little bit nervous now about what's going to happen when they play us, because it looks like we have the ability to take on all different sides. Now, when we come up against, the Liverpools and the Manchester Cities of the world, that's when things are going to get really interesting, man, because it's going to be, full on action, bash to bash. But right now, I'm looking very confident about the next 2 matches.
Do you feel like Jacob last season? I recall a few basketball matches with Bournemouth and with Leeds United, where relegation teams that we were conceding 3 or 4 against. It's nice to not see that anymore.
Big Ainge just said it. Don't matter who you are, we're going to give it to you good. And he does every single time. Manchester United, Bournemouth, it don't matter if you got black on your shirt or red or white or blue. Ainge Postecoglou's colorblind when it comes to playing these teams, because honestly, this guy, Jack, Nick, y'all know this. In America, ESPN hate us.
Yeah.
Bleacher Report, Bleacher Football, whatever it is, they hate us. They all hate us. It's always, look at Tottenham, oh, they're in the mud, and sad faces, sad Tottenham. And guess what? The last couple weeks, they've been saying, how about Big Ainge? Look at James Madison. Now they're talking to us nicely. And you know what? Long overdue. But guess what? 3 games, if you're catching on now, 3 matches in, it's not too late to hop aboard the Ainge train, because guess what? There's enough links in this sumbitch for everybody. And guess what? I'm just lucky I jumped on the train. I'm just a little bit ahead. I'm not where Paul from Hotspur Hippie is. He was the first person to ever mention Ainge Postecoglou's name to me.
Pioneer.
But he always said, don't worry, if we hire Big Ainge, you're going to love him. As soon as you hear him speak, you're going to love him. And he won me over that first press conference, and then every press conference since, and then the preseason, and then the press conferences in the preseason, and then his interviews, and then now we're seeing in the regular season. It's just adding to the love I've already felt. I mean, y'all said we're trying to not get head over heels, but I'm already envisioning Papa Ainge carrying me through the doors of my house, holding me like a newlywed bride. So I'm not head over heels. I'm already married. I'm married to Ainge. He cannot leave. I do not want him to leave ever. Give him 4 more years.
You can keep your Pochettino. I plenty feel that Ange is the truth, and I feel like we're getting that from Jacob right now. That's for sure. They got Dark Sun G. Plenty are feeling like the days of Pochettino, Mourinho, and Conte. Even Christian Gross are no more. Who cares? Daniel Larson's in the house.
Who is that? I don't know who that is.
Yeah, we're
I
forgetting.
don't know. Some guys used to hang around the stadium for a little while. Man, I forgot all about him. Forgot all about him completely.
Yeah.
Daniel Larson, thank you for enjoying the Yank takeover. I appreciate it, my friend. He's welcoming of all. Appreciate you, my friend. Dark Sun G says, I'm happy to finally see Madison celebrate in our kit as well. I do enjoy the away kit. It is growing on me, as the kits do. Thoughts on maybe, Madison as well? I think just grabbing that goal. Or actually, I'm somehow
we were in the
forgetting.
home kit.
We were in the home kit.
We were in the home
all
kit.
wide,
Yeah. That wasn't the
I
away
predicted
kit.
that we would be in the away kit, but now I'm all of a sudden forgetting, because maybe we were just moving that quickly that I couldn't even tell what kits we were in. But Madison, celebrating in the beautiful white kit, the all white kit, Nick. Nice to see, isn't it? Number 10 as well.
Absolutely, man. And he's really stamped himself as Sonny's the captain, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. It did a great job, but Madison is really stamping his authority on being the force up front. When we're expecting a goal or expecting an assist to come in, it's likely it's Madison. I mean, Basuma he's the anchor point, certainly, man, and he's the rock to make things happen on the transition. But it's Madison. It's get the ball to Madison, see what he can do with it, see who he can bring in.
Absolutely. And seeing the number 10, a new number 10, James, in James Madison, Jacob. Happy to see it. Thoughts on celebration?
You had to make me think about it in that light, Jack. That hurts, because honestly, the number 10 with a super long last name is just strange to see. It's just, I haven't seen it. I mean, only in FIFA have I seen Tottenham number 10 not be Harry Kane. So for me, it's a little strange. It's still a little weird. I try to not pay too much attention to number on the back and just admire the man who's wearing it, because quite honestly, he showed it last match when he had 0 goal contributions, how instrumental he was to us and to this machine working that Ainge is building. He's definitely pivotal to that. And you prefaced it by saying Basuma's equally as pivotal in the change of, I mean, the way that he turns with the ball, Basuma. But James Madison, his passing phenomenal. Pedro Porro, there was that one instance where he was so upset because he's like, that was the peach. You laid it on a platter for me, and he messed up. But that's okay, because I think the more we start playing with a guy like James Maddison who can put those balls through, slice open the defense like a piece of warm butter. Come on. I mean, the man was on fire today. And then the spaces in which he was getting into is also highly impressive for me, because he's getting back, he's picking up the ball in our box, and then 2 minutes later, you see him calling for an through ball over the top, and
you
it's
see
interesting.
3 people behind him still looking for him,
Where'd he go? I think he's willing to work harder than he's worked before in getting up and down the pitch for Ainge, because he knows I just got to go out there and put it on for 80 minutes. And if I do it correctly, we'll be in a position where I can then take the rest of the game off, get subbed, etc. And that's what we saw today. Was he did his job, he did it well. Now you put in the shift. Now, okay, let's bring him back in. So honestly, Maddison, absolutely instrumental. There was another moment I want to mention where Kulusevski passed the ball kind of atrociously, where he was making a run down the middle, Kane-esque, if you will, and he was asking for it to be more in front, and you could tell he was pretty frustrated. But I think those things, and the thing we saw, I think was it week 2 or week 1 with Sonny on the left, where it was like he wants the ball in this certain area. I think once everyone understands James a little bit more in this squad, then we're all going to be clicking. I think once we know, it's one of those matters with Kane, right, with Son. He knew what Son was thinking. Son knew what he was thinking. They've been playing together for that long. They knew each other on that level. And I think it's only a matter of time until we're even firing on all cylinders. I don't even think we're completely clicking yet as a squad.
Yeah.
And once we get those other pieces all aligned, we're going to be dangerous. And I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, but we're going to be dangerous for every team in the Premier League. Doesn't matter where you are on the table, you got a problem when you play us. And I love that.
And also, like, when you think about it too, Nick, right? The midfield is already probably tough enough to deal with Basuma, with the way he's been playing. He's been, almost world class with how he's been going about things. But then Maddison at the same time, it's almost unfair, right? Because you try to take one out the game, and then you're leaving Maddison with all the space to then do the work. It's kind of like pick your poison, I guess.
I wrote down a note, man, midway through the first half. There's so much sauce on the pitch, the opposition is slipping and sliding. There's so much sauce on that pitch that they don't know who to target, because in previous seasons so far, I mean, I can't remember since Dembele us having a midfielder that can turn on the half like Basuma can. But there's so much going on there that they can't, even if they try to man mark Basuma, there's so much else going on that quickly breaks down within about 10 minutes, because they're leaving too much space open for the rest of our midfielders. When our front three really start to click, when we start to make changes that make them much more deadly, I mean, I shudder. I shudder to think about how people are going to deal with that right now. As far as Maddison's influence, man, I think that he's going to be set up to be the main man going forward. Depending on who we get, I don't think we're going for somebody who's really going to replace Harry Kane. Obviously, we'll get into that debate. It's not possible to replace him, but we need somebody who can bring in the goals. But he's not going to be the headline, the marquee person. I think it's going to be Maddison next to Sonny, who are really leading this team.
Yeah. I was really impressed, actually, with Sonny on the day, and we will get to him. I really did enjoy his performance. Very underrated one, in my opinion. Welsh Gal, good to see you in the house. Happy day in Spurs land, indeed. Hopefully you're part of the IPA army today. Neil Shafton, good Shabbos to you, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good one, my friend. And then Tequila 316, big up Jacob and the best Nick I know. Good to hear that. Good to hear that. Darks on G as well, saying under Nuno, we won our first 3 games and got 9 points, but it was boring and really lucky 3 points. Our first 3 games have been 7 points, but really deserved points. You're nodding your head, Nick. What do you say?
Yeah, man, and we, especially in the last 2 games, we should have had more goals. Clean sheets. For the last 2, unbelievable. Never would have thought.
Nope.
4 weeks ago that we would have 2 clean sheets in a row. But as far as not taking not being clinical enough in front of goal, I mean, I am hoping, fingers crossed, but I'm pretty sure that we are going to address that problem in the next 5 days. It should have been more. There were chances there that could have been taken. There were chances against. I'm forgetting who the hell we played. It's coming out the game.
Brentford United.
Chances against Man United where players were just getting in front of each other, a little bit tripping up in the box because we have so many people. I saw that getting worked out a lot better today. I saw an understanding of teammates' positions, especially on the left with Perisic. We saw so many times last season people getting in front of it. Sonny and Perisic in particular, man. I really see that have getting worked out now, man. Especially Son. We only see that when Sonny's playing center, and now Perisic comes in as a sub, but it's working so well right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there is so much more to come when these guys gel a little bit more over the next couple of weeks.
What do you think, Jacob? Nuno Ball versus Ange Ball. We did grab 9 points under Nuno Ball, though.
Hey, one manager of the month, 1 month. Next month, sayonara, senor.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and I spoke about this. I was on the football terrace earlier, and Terry made a point of don't get too ahead of yourself, Spurs, because y'all were top of the league after 10 games under Conte. And I said, look, you can't compare us now to where we were with Conte, because every Spurs fan at that juncture, when we were top of the league, were like, damn, we got lucky. And I don't think we felt like we got lucky in any match. I feel like every match we've come out of it feeling like we deserved all 3 points there. And I mean, it sucks we didn't get it at Brentford, but my point being was yesterday's price is not today's price. So don't come watching Spurs expecting to see anything like you saw last season. And that's what I think a lot of rivals are getting misconstrued here. When I listen to other top 6 channels, they all say, oh, well, Spurs are playing good. It's only Bournemouth. It's only United when they're not firing. It's only Brentford. Brentford stayed up in good fashion last season. Bournemouth stayed up in good fashion last season. Granted, they did get rid of one of their best midfielders in Jonathan Lerma over the summer break, but they're still their coach that they have now. He's a high pressing manager. When they played Liverpool fans said we should be down 3-0 right now, and they got out of that lucky. So the fact that we're turning this kind of performance on Bournemouth, just completely dominated them, made them look like a relegation team, quite frankly, when the other likes of Liverpool made them look like a fierce Premier League competitor. I think those things, man, people are sleeping on us. Keep sleeping. The longer you sleep, it's the Trojan horse. You know what I'm saying?
Well.
Here's Ainge, Scottish man. He managed in the Scottish League. He managed Australia's national team. No one's ever heard of him. How do you say his last name? That's our Trojan horse. And you know what? Keep sleeping, because we coming at you. And just I hope they keep sleeping, Jack. I hope they keep sleeping.
I sort of thought that we would stay under the radar this season, everybody, because, now that Harry Kane is gone, they don't really have that as sort of their saga to sort of continue to punch on when they're out of news, to talk about, or they're out of juicy things, to gossip about on sort of Talk Sport and whatnot. And it just feels like Spurs are just such a new look type of team that like nobody can really have much of an opinion really on us other than what they're seeing kind of in the moment. Like everything is sort of just new. So you have to just judge it on what it is kind of on face value. You really can't, like you said, look too much at what it was in the past, because the past really, I don't know how much of it really has much of an influence on it. And even when you think about today's game, just quickly as a tiny little tangent here, I did sort of mention in our pre-match thoughts for the members where I was confused about whether there were lessons to take from the Bournemouth games from last year, because all respect to them, it's a new manager, a lot of new players that they put into the team. And then it's kind of the same thing about us. A lot of new players into the team, new manager, despite how atrocious those games were last season. It feels like it's just 2 entirely different settings and scenarios. And maybe it wasn't going to be much of a lesson to be learned from last season, just kind of 2 new teams going at it. And Ange Ball was the one that was victorious. Big up to you, Dark Sun G, my friend. Good to see you in the house. And I don't miss Nuno Ball one bit. Aaron Dubb, good to see you. He says, does anyone see today's starting front 3 as a first name on the sheet next season? Personally, I think it will be a new front 3, Sonny, Richie, and Kulu. are bang average. I'm going to disagree with you there on Sonny. I actually thought he had a terrific game, Aaron Dubb, and we'll get to that later. But just as a quick question, because I haven't seen you in a while, Aaron, I'll throw it to Jacob here. Do you see a change in the front three at some stage, maybe for the Fulham game or let's say for the next Premier League game?
I could absolutely see it, but Ange Postecoglou did allude to the fact that maybe if it's been 20 games and we're still seeing this, then he will look at the change. But you know what? This guy loves playing 4D chess. He could be saying that next week. Guess what? It's going to be Scarlet. Who knows who's going to be, right? I think this guy holds his cards close to his chest, and the manner in which he, like, what he says is always, it comes off like he just thought of it. He's just saying it and it's very genuine. But I know for a fact that this guy, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So whether it's Richarlison starting up front, I don't think that they're bang average. I do think Kulu's goal covered a lot of his cracks today. But you know what? At the end of the day, he scored the goal. So, like, how much can I really say about the guy?
Yeah, it was a nice finish
last week, he didn't get the assist, but he did ping the ball over the top that eventually fell to Sarr. So, but today I thought Kulu's crossing was woeful. I thought Richie's first touch was pretty awful, aside from like 2 to 3 decent first touch passes that he had. But Sonny was absolutely instrumental, I thought, for us today. I know he didn't get the goal or the assist, but you know what? He got 30 minutes today to play in that Richie role, and last week he got
good.
20 minutes. So I wouldn't be surprised if, you know what, next week let's see 45, or let's see it from the start, Sonny down the middle, and let's see what he can do. Because then I think that answers a lot of worries and questions about who's going to be that guy down the middle. Because even if we signed a Gift Orban, or we signed some striker, Ernest Nwama, which I don't think we're going to sign, but if we sign this other attacker we're talking about, they're not walking into this squad by any means. Not even if it's Richarlison starting up front, they're still going to have to unseat that guy. But he showed again, that's 3 out of 3 matches in which he failed to show us much of anything in the final third. So for me, I would like to see a change. I said at 3 games, give him 3 starts, and if he doesn't do anything with those 3 starts, then we have to look somewhere else. Now, Postecoglou may see it. I'm going to give him 6 matches, and then we'll see. Because, Fulham in the Cup, I know Postecoglou wants to win that. We'll probably go and start our strongest 11, which might be Richie through the middle. So I wouldn't be surprised to see it again, basically.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think especially with Fulham, it's going to be Richie again, but I wouldn't be surprised if things aren't working out well if the change is made a lot sooner. Move Son into the middle. Into what, man, I'm not seeing exactly where it was, but Son's confidence. I agree 100%, man. I forgot who put it in the chat, but he looks more confident game after game with what he's being asked to do, as far as leading the squad, creating for other people, getting into the correct spaces, drawing defenders out. He looks like he's getting more comfortable with doing what he's doing, as opposed to, just get the ball, run at players, cut inside and shoot, which, that's what Kulu's been doing for the last couple of weeks and for the last 18 months. And it's getting found out. And Ange doesn't want that from Son right now either, But, as on Aaron Dubb's point, man, I see if Son's trajectory
changes.
If Son's trajectory keeps going the way it's going, I see him starting for the rest of this year and most likely next year too. I have a very strong feeling, though, that next season it's going to be a different person on in the center and on the right. I think that Kulu it's time to experiment with him in different places. The Richie question is a problem, because I would like to see Kulu in the middle, or Kulu even as as a false 9, something like that, just to see what happens. I know we don't have the luxury of lesser games to play around with that, but I think that there is going to be some experimentation, and I think that time is running out even faster now for Richarlison.
It is running out.
So frustrated, Jack. I want to ask you. I know you've been asking us, but what did you think? He coming out in the second half. You got to imagine he's feeling pretty frustrated with where he's at, and then he stumbles over the ball, gets a stupid yellow. Kind of flinging his foot out there. What did you think about Richarlison today?
Yeah, I think we'll get to it. We have plenty of questions on him at some stage. Especially I think I think there's a big difference actually between his performance, in the first half versus his performance in the second half. In my opinion, I think they were actually 2 polar opposite sort of performances. Because in the first half, I actually think he did pretty well. and holding up the ball. And I actually do think, you didn't really do a whole lot wrong other than really the 2 chances that he was presented that he didn't finish. And then that's where I was kind of scratching my head again, because it's sort of like, you're doing everything that you need to, on the other side of things as a striker, you're doing all the good things, and then you get your just rewards with sort of the chances that you're presented, and then he didn't take them. And then in the second half, you would think, what, he's going to come out hungrier and come out more confident, but he didn't. He actually came out a completely different player. That's where I just get a bit frustrated with Richie, but we're going to get onto it for sure. Just have to greet a few more people in the house. Bjorn Wandel's in the house. Good to see you, my friend. At no time did I feel the Cherries were coming back. A nice sense of calm. That's for sure, Bjorn. Good to see Colin Roke as well. Different goal scorers in every game. No one has scored twice. The opponents don't know where it's coming from. They don't know which weapon to deal with first. We spoke about that in the beginning, right? Is it Basuma? Is it Madison? Which one's going to sauce? Just a girl who loves Spurs. Good to see you, Kate. Hopefully you're keeping well. She says, big up, Dave and Jacob. I think Dave, is fresh off, what I can tell to be a good performance on the Chris Callan channel. And hopefully he's freshening up the lungs for, Tuesday against Fulham. And as well, I do think he's putting out a post-match reaction exclusive to all of you members, everybody. Adrian Chia is in the house as well, saying, hope you guys enjoyed the script. Any news on Udoji? I did just quickly look it up there, Adrian. According to the Evening Standard, at least by an hour ago, and just said that he spoke to him. All good. They were just sort of thinking about taking him off early, precautionary, but he actually ended up finishing out, so he wanted to finish the game. So he told Ange, but Ange, kind of in true fashion, like he did with Romero, just sort of, shutting him down and, not taking any risks, and sort of brought him off. But he did say in the post-match press conference that he's actually all good. And I think it was something having to do with him sort of like stubbing his, kind of his foot into the turf, that, occasionally, Adrian, maybe you're trying to make a quick change of, direction, and you accidentally sort of jam your foot into the ground, or, you don't get the right sort of kind of turn, with your boot on. And I think that's sort of what happened to Udoji. He might have twisted something, but I don't think it's really all that serious. Dark Sun G says 3 years ago. Yeah, sorry, Jacob.
Oh, I was just going to say, I have Ange's quote pulled up on Udogi's update. Please. Says, quote, I think he just kicked the ground from what I understand. He didn't want to come off, but at that stage, the way the rules are at the moment, they go off for 30 seconds. And I thought it was just better to put Benny on, being Ben Davies, and keeping the tempo up for the game for us. Just speaking to him now, he said he's fine. So sounds like he just stubbed his toe, hurt a little bit. He wanted to keep going, and Ainge said, "No, it's okay. You put it in a full shift today."
Man, I gotta say, on that though, that is a position that I am terrified about, man. If something happens to him, we got a real big problem over there.
It's not just there too. The depth in a lot of positions. If Romero goes down, we're seeing Sanchez or Dyer. You know what I'm saying? And then Dyer starts making substitute appearances on the team sheet. So I agree with you, Nick. We're one scary injury away in a few positions. I mean, Vicario, something happens to him, I guess it's good we still have Hugo, but it's
I mean, what is the word on Forrester? Like, when is Forrester going to be?
I think he's back in. I think Dark Sun G said he's back in the team today. You saw him in the team. I think he was on the bench as well.
Okay, Forrester. Well, see, I mean, that's a little bit of good news, but still, we got to get this problem solved and quick. The backup situation.
Dark Sun G says 3 years ago, our team was Lloris, Toby, Dyer, Bobo the Clown being Aurier, Davies, Tanguy and Dembele, Winks, and Højbjerg. Now we have Vicario, Udoji, Van de Ven, Cudi Romero, Porro, and Royale together. Love that he's combined them together because they are a unit. Basuma, Madison, Sarr, Bentancur to return as well. It's even scary to think that Bentancur, right, a guy that was so loved by this whole team, I mean, he's not going to find it that easy to break into this midfield right now, right, Nick?
Yeah, man. I mean, who would take out Sarr right now? I mean, he didn't have as a star performance as last game, but he still, man, covered a lot of ground. It was extremely effective, man. Those long legs can move real fast, and that's something that he has over Bentancur, man. He's got the speed. Even if he makes a bad pass, man, he's right on top of that opposition trying to get it back. So, it's going to be interesting. That problem is a nice problem to have because we know that injuries are going to pop up, and there will be a sense in which, okay, I want to see Bentancur over Sarr, or even how is Bentancur going to fit into Basuma's role? Can he do the same thing? I'm not so sure about that, I think he's definitely more of a number 8 than a 6. But you know what? Ange seems to be able to fit people in the way he wants to fit them in, and they do the job for him. So it's going to be an interesting problem to see how he solves.
Maybe for the meme sake, Dark Sun G, I do miss, Arise Serge, my favorite knight. But in kind of the actual serious sense, I definitely do not miss the penalties that he would concede, especially when you're sort of trying to see out the game. I would say Serge Aurier loves to make things interesting for the neutral. Maybe I'll leave it at that. He always loved to sort of maybe throw some sort of interesting mixer into the game. And also as well, like you just look at that back line, long gone are the days of having to watch, kind of such a slow and sort of kind of just lethargic back line. And, today even, with all the clearances that they had to deal with, it was just nice to see, Romero and Van de Ven almost getting in each other's way, actually trying to clear it. Whereas before we would just see Eric Dyer just continue to let every single ball go over his head. And that was probably one of my biggest sort of annoyances with the guy, was he would just be, as a center back, somebody that sort of for some reason thought that there would be someone behind him to sort of clean it up after him, when he would let sort of a cross go through, where Mickey Van de Ven today was just, he was a monster in the air. And so was Romero, but I would say especially Mr. Mickey, he was very, very good today. And it's just nice to see just a team that's just, would absolutely smash that other one that you're referencing there. Welsh Gal as well is in the house. Good to see you, Welsh Gal. She says, big up, lads. There's a new sheriff in the town, and it's Big Ange. Happy times in Spurs land. Thanks for the great content, Harris Army. Thank you, Welsh Gal. I brought up your comment earlier. It's good to be, back in the happy clapper land of Spurs land. And new sheriff in town over in Texas, Big Ange. Are people learning of the way of Ange over in Texas way?
We knew of Ange before. There's a street intersection in my very city, Jack. I don't think you saw it on Twitter. I don't know if you did. It's the meeting of Ange in Texas, and that's been there since the old dusty city of El Paso was formed. So when I tell you this was forged in the stars many, many moons ago for Ange to take over Texas, he's already here, baby. He's got his own street. He's got it. I'm looking for houses right now. I want to live on Ange Street because right now my heart is definitely on Ange Street.
Sounds like a new preseason destination for us.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, right there at that intersection, there was like a laundromat and a warehouse, which I'm not sure what goes on there. And then across the street was like
a stadium for Ange. Bring in Ange.
That's what we turn it. Hey, Jack, you come on down. We'll turn it into a studio, and we'll call it the Big Ange Studio. This man, like I said from the top, he won me over with his first press conference. And ever since then, it's just been more fuel. He's just gassing me up. I'm on full, and we're only 3 weeks into the damn season, and he's got my gas tank full. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, it's good to have a new sheriff in town. That's for sure, Welsh Gal, and I think he's reaching every hemisphere. Clearly, he's absolutely winning over the Yanks, and it's good to see that. And hopefully, you're keeping well today, keeping the IPAs cold. And hopefully you have as well maybe something sort of maybe specialty, maybe dinner or something, whether it's home cooked or something, celebrate. It's good to still be undefeated this season. Just wanted to say hello to King Hoddle. Hopefully you're keeping well, King Hoddle. In that chat, J. Co is in here as well. Good to see you, J. Co. Haven't seen you in a while. And as well as Steady as Shark, have not seen you in a while. Good to see you, everybody. We're going to bring up the stats here in a second. I'm just going to sort of run through that, everybody, for just sort of kind of sakes and purposes, because, we try to stay as professional as we can here. Go ahead.
I would love to see some of the heading duel stats, man, because that's something that we were all worried about, but I haven't seen us be as weak as a lot of us were worried about in our clearances, in our set pieces. It seems like something's happening there too. And listen, it's as much as Van der Ven, we worried about his vertical, man. He seems to be getting to a lot of these balls.
I ain't worried about his vertical, I'll tell you that much.
Spurs stats today, we had 17 shots to Bournemouth's 11, 6 on target to their 3, 57% possession to their 43%. They had 6 corners, though, on the day, and kind of like Nick mentioned, they did also have a lot of crosses. I probably could have included that. That would have been an interesting stat to bring up there. But I instead went for big chances created, because I like to make us look a little bit better. So I showed our 3 big chances created to their 0. anything that we would gather from the stats here, lads, or is it pretty much, not much of a surprise? Let's start with you, Nick, and then I'll go to you, Jacob.
No huge surprises because of what we've seen preseason and the previous two games. It's a dominant possession. The corners. So that's a little interesting. It looks like there's a lot of attempts to run into our box, a lot of very good tight defending. That's where the corners come in for Bournemouth. Not so many corners on our side. Is it because we're just not getting enough big chances as we need to right now? Because we haven't seen this particular match. We didn't see as many shots as we had in the previous two. So it's not something I'm super concerned about right now. But does that say something about a couple of changes to the way we're going forward that Ange is making? I'm not so sure.
And to you, Jacob, any stats, stick out to you, or maybe any stats that you wish I should have put up there?
I mean, you've got a beautiful smiling Cuti Romero right there. So I don't know that you could have done much better with this graphic personally. Now, as far as our stats, what I would have liked to see...
70% possession, Ange, right? He's gotten significantly less.
We got over 55, which I think against... United was 56%, and these were both two teams that are willing to go toe-to-toe with a high-pressing side like us. But again, like we saw with United, they broke down after 30, 40 minutes. With Bournemouth, they looked like they broke down the first 15 minutes and were kind of like, all right, we're a little more reluctant to come out and press you high. You saw in the first 5-10 minutes, they were right on us, much like United were for a lot of that first half versus them. So honestly, for me, Jack, to retain that level of possession versus a team that wants the ball also, it's going to be interesting when we start playing. If we can keep these similar stats when we play the possession-based teams like the Cities of the world, the teams that like to build up and really hold on to the ball most of the match, if we can still get the one up over them on possession, then I still like our chances. Obviously, double the shots on target. We're making more out of our chances. Sometimes I think we were all saying, in the final third, we're passing maybe a little too much, and we need to take more of these chances. So, honestly, I'm not too fussed about only having two corners. That just means that the other team were quite frankly a little busy. I mean, Vicario had 3 saves on his own. I think one was actually pretty decent. The other 2 were like, pretty run-of-the-mill saves. But still, when you double the opponent's shots on target and you have more of the ball, it's always a good sign to end off with.
Yeah. Definitely is. Everybody, we're going to get into some of the questions here, and I forgot to do this. Please, if you can, we don't like to do it too much, but we would love to, if you have the opportunity to smash that like button. It's in the form of a thumb, and you can highlight it and fill it in, and it does a good service to us. And I see Dave is also back from Chris Callens, and as he likes to say, it does very well in our daily battle against the algorithm here, everybody. And also listen to Daniel Larson at all times anyway. So just do what Daniel says. Don't even listen to me. Just do what Daniel has said there. Tottenham forever, grabbing another fan show membership. Appreciate you, Ryan, and hope to speak to you later, my friend. Hopefully we get to see you this Monday, and hopefully you're having a good weekend. Vandal Ross and other members in the house as well. Good to see you, my man. Stevie Frazier is in here too. Van de Ven was class today, as he certainly was, and we will get to him. But let's start with sort of just midday kickoffs, Nick. And I know you've probably woken up early with Dave and I in the past, and it feels like we often wake up pretty early for these matches. And then by 12 o'clock noon, we wish the day was over because we didn't end up, getting what we wanted. Do you feel like Ange has destroyed the midday kickoff curse?
Yeah, well, man, it's a difference between going in, nervous that everything was going to fall apart and there were going to be massive defensive errors, and nervous to think, how are we going to score? Who's going to score? How much dominant performance are we going to see from this team? That's the big difference between last year. It's still nerves, man. I'm still, the nails at the edge of the table, digging in hard, man. But it's, I'm getting less and less nervous though as time goes on, man. So this early, I know it was a curse before, these early kickoffs, man. But man, this is a new look Tottenham across the board, man. Sonny's there holding it down for the old timers, but just the way we're playing and who is performing. It's just a new look all around, man. And I'm embracing it as much as possible.
I'm glad that you are. And Jacob, he also went with the same lineup pretty much that he did against Man United. Were you surprised at all that Ange did that? Happy that he did that? Thoughts on the starting lineup?
In regards to the curse, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Do you believe
They
in it?
say in order to remove or break a curse, it often requires elaborate rules, rituals, and prayers. And us as fans have been supplying the prayers. No matter what denomination you are, you're praying to whatever you believe in. And the elaborate rituals and rules, honestly, that's what Ainge is here for.
Yeah.
He's established that from the moment he set foot on that training ground. He's establishing the way he wants this squad to be. So as far as the curse, I never believed at one juncture that there's any curse that could affect Ange Postecoglou. Number one being the trophy curse. I just have this gut feeling. Maybe I'm just riding the endorphins after a nice win. We beat United, and that ain't happening sometimes, so maybe I don't know how to act. But Ange Postecoglou has always said, I'm here to win everything. Every match I play, no matter the competition, I'm here to win it. And if that don't break a curse, I don't know what will. That kind of mentality. And he's also said, I've worked with less, I've worked with more. I'm used to getting whatever I want. I'm also used to not getting anything I want. So he's used to, and we talk about the board, we talk about the way we operate as a club, etc. But this is a guy at no moment has he ever batted an eye at anything that we've done, the Harry Kane drama, etc. He's just said, well, mate, when the day comes when he's not here, we're going to play without him. And that's just the way it is. It's so simplistic, the way he approaches it. So honestly, whatever this man does, whatever the starting 11, whatever his substitutes, whenever they are, I'm not questioning. I'm just enjoying the ride. That's all I can do.
Yeah, I'm starting to reach that stage too, Jacob and Nick, where, if Ange tells me to sit, I'm sitting. If he tells me to run, I'm running. If he tells me to jump, I'm jumping. Are you starting to get that way as well, Nick?
Yeah, man, absolutely. And as football fans, the majority of us are very superstitious. We got our own rituals and stuff. The confidence in Ange is slowly wearing away the need to. Since Conte left, I haven't changed my underwear. It's something that my family's got to deal with. But I'm not at the point where I can fully get back into a fresh pair of drawers yet. But it's getting closer and closer. If we keep going the way we're going, it's a trip to J. Crew for me to get some fresh undies pretty damn soon.
And maybe speaking of fresh undies, I think I needed one actually. Let's get to the first goal then. Let's start with James Maddison's goal. Going right back to you, Nick. Take me through it. Pop Matasar with the surgery pass.
With the surgery pass into nobody beats the biz, nobody beats the biz. His turn for that goal, man, was just like a thing. It was a pirouette. It was a thing straight out of the Bolshoi, ballerina school. It's who turns like that and then surges forward. It was really Sar was the initial catalyst, but it was really about Basuma, man, and then just Maddison being cultured and skilled enough to finish his dinner, man. It was the kind of thing that we've seen a lot, reminiscent of Davies's goal, or the own goal, if you will, from the last match. But I think we're going to see probably 50% of our goals come in that way. They're not going to be, individual bangers, pieces of brilliance from people. They're going to be group efforts like that. And, look out for more of that. Look out for that combination between Basuma and Maddison, solidifying a lead for us to push on forward, man.
It does feel like the moves often do start usually from some sort of bit of brilliance from Basuma or Maddison, and then they usually work from each other from there. But do you agree with Nick, Jacob? We're going to have to get used to some of these saucy team goals, because while they might be finished by one man, it sort of starts with, somebody else's brilliance. These are team goals that we're seeing.
I love the way that Nick said that too, because there was a few instances in this match where I was expecting, all right, Sonny, do it, Sonny. Yeah, and it was like he could have, and in the past he had the position in the space to do what he always does, cut it around, take a shot outside the box, right inside the box. I was expecting something, but you know what? He kept playing the pass. And then it's like the mentality is to keep looking for the extra pass to make this better. And I like that. We're not settling for, okay, I got a little space, now let me try something. It's like, okay, I've got this space, boom, I can sauce it right in there. And when we talk about James Madison's goal, Basuma, I also like the way you said that too, Jack. Most of our goals in some way, shape, or form always start and end with James Madison and Basuma doing something. But let's not forget Ay Papi Chulo Matesar up there in the middle. He's the one who got that assist. Beautiful. He could have just laid it to Richarlison, was standing right in front of him. But instead of the easy choice, we don't take that easy choice anymore. We look for that. And that's what I thought Sarr's perfectly weighted pass. That finish from James Madison, very easy to fluff that, very easy to hit that too much and it goes slicing right or left, and just cool, calm, composed, like the leader of a squad he is, and he came in and just slotted it right in. But Ay Papi Chulo Matesar, I mean, that what he's learning from Madison, those butter cutters, you know what I'm talking about, them just sizzles right in front of everybody. It's so, the weight on it is enough to where the guys in between it can't touch it, but it's not too much to where it's ahead of the guy. It's just it's amazing when you have midfielders who can pass the ball like that. It's new, it's exciting, and I even dare to say Madison's doing doing those slicing balls just a little bit better than we saw from a one Christian Eriksen. Maybe too soon to say that, but maybe I'm just getting too hype. I don't know. Maybe I need to check myself before I wreck myself. But it's just, I'm so excited to have those midfielders like Basuma, Sarr, and Madison that can slice butter. Too often have we not been able to do that, and we're clunky. And I mean, you even saw it, when Højbjerg came on, he has great over the balls, some over the top through balls like he did for Harry Kane's record breaker. But we also see he has a propensity to just find the safe pass. And you know what? Papa Montessor did not do that. He did not feed it to Richarlison. He instead sliced the butter to James Madison. It's very impressive.
Thoughts on Pop Montessar's performance in general, Nick? He was subbed off early.
Yeah, and so I was just thinking about that too, man. I mean, it was essentially Højbjerg for Sarr, if we're going to call it, positionally, right? And I'm still pretty convinced that Højbjerg will leave, although different pieces of the puzzle in the world of football have to move around for that to happen. But I don't really mind, a late substitution, Højbjerg being a standard move. As far as especially locking it down when we have the lead. It's that way. As much of a warrior as he is, he's a good lockdown man, and you're not expecting too much on the ball from him. He can pop up in the right position to make something happen, but he can also just help secure a victory when necessary. Sarr's performance, man, it's, that tells me, Sarr, King Dom, I think he was on a yellow. Right after some kind of
Sarr did not get a yellow.
No, he didn't. No. Or was that was Basuma?
Basuma got a yellow. That is correct. A yellow
after recovery. Yeah. So maybe he wasn't on the yellow, but that tells me Sarr's starting on Tuesday. So it's the right time. He needs as much.
I was just laughing. I was like, "There's no way he can't."
Right? Yeah. You're gonna
undroppable.
You have them, so you want to save his legs a little bit. That's coming up real fast. That's only 72 hours away. So everything about the way he's playing is going in the right direction right now, man.
Absolutely. And to you, Jacob, is there a reason that he was subbed off early in particular, or thoughts on his performance in general on the whole?
I think Ainge addressed it in the post game. He did mention the fact that he felt as though it was just a time to keep the tempo up. And it's not to say that Sarr couldn't have kept the tempo up. I just think it, like you said, Nick, we got a match 72 hours away, and so it's not very far away, but also, it's good to get these guys, the Skips, the Højbjergs, if we're going to need them in some capacity. The Giovanni Lo Celso get some minutes. We saw Lo Celso get some minutes. We need these guys to get some minutes in order to say, oh, this guy can come in for James Madison if he gets hurt, or this guy can come in for Papa Matasar if he needs a rest, or, Basuma's picking up yellows. If he picks up too many yellows, we might end up in a position where he has to sit a match. So these are all things that happen throughout a season that transpire, but the depth at the midfield position, I feel all right. Like, I don't want to get rid of Højbjerg or Skip just for the sake of getting rid of them because they want first team football. I would like them to sit on the bench and be that guy to come in 60, 70, 80 minute and just put in a shift at that amount of time, and we're not relying on you. When you're not relying on guys, you can see them perform better if they're not this top echelon quality like a Højbjerg. I've always said Højbjerg can give you something off the bench. He can. Now it's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly, but at least there's some good in there, and there can be some good in there. But a lot of times you see the ugly more often than not, sometimes the bad as well. But today, I don't know what Højbjerg did bad. I can't really. I was just thinking more United. There was some bad and ugly in there, but to come in, be some fresh legs. I mean, let's remember Pierre-Emile Højbjerg before Bentancur came on. Who was our most consistent midfielder? Since Højbjerg got here, he's been our most consistent for better or worse.
Yeah.
He's been our most consistent. So, I've always said he can, whether he wants to fulfill that role, probably not. He'd probably like to go start at Madrid in a formation that suits his style of play with his back to the goal and just passing it back to the center backs. I'm sure he would have a great time doing that. But you know what? He's a true professional, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. He's a true professional in the sense that I haven't heard him complaining. I haven't heard him even say, I want to go to Madrid. That's just all media speculation. He's just come in and put in a shift when he's been asked to. Hasn't complained. He doesn't look like he's sulking on the bench. He just looks like I like
Clearly
Højbjerg.
also Ange rates him. Clearly Ange rates him if he's also able to bring him on, so quickly into the game.
If you're the first sub for 2 weeks.
Brought on Lo Celso later, right?
Exactly.
Lo Celso was somebody that, we thought, or I think we know is somebody that Ange also has a lot of love for, but it's interesting that.
But the thing that Ange wants, we've all heard him say, is work rate, willing to run, willing to go the extra mile, not play for this and that. And Højbjerg has that. Højbjerg has work rate. For whatever you want to say about his inabilities as a footballer is fine, but you can never question his heart, desire, and work rate. And those are three things that Ange Postecoglou highly values, and he's said as much. Remember when the man's got blood running down his face and they're pulling him to keep him off of the field and he's ready to go, his shin's spliced open and he's gushing blood through his shin guards. He wants to go out there and fight. So the guy's a fighter. He's got the qualities as a person that I think Ange looks for. So why not keep him around and let him do a job? And don't let it be a big job, but it's a job. And I think he could do that. So
let us know in the chat, everybody, whether you think Højbjerg, is a worthy asset to keep around. I know Dave has fought, the good fight, in my opinion, of vouching for Højbjerg and why he should be staying and why, if he is going to go, we need to seriously think about replacing him. He's not just a guy that you can easily, I think, let go from the squad. But let's go on to a subject. I was talking to Chris on Twitter today, Nick. He and I were having a chat about our goalkeeper, Mr. Vicario. Tottenham seemed to really have no problem playing out of Bournemouth's press, I thought, in that first half. Yeah. And that was thanks to Big Vic. Thoughts on his performance today? I feel like he didn't have much to do, but he had a lot to do in possession.
Yeah, big up Chris, my man up north. We saw a little bit more of his distribution ability today than we did in the last game. And you know what, man? It comes back to these guys getting time to play with each other and starting to feel more comfortable. We really saw it today in the back line. We really saw a much more comfortable Mickey van der Ven. The look on his face was even much more comfortable. He knows who he's playing with now. He knows he and Romero are starting to have that relationship, and Vicario is knowing positionally what's going on. And listen, another note I wrote here, slightly digression, but what in the hell was that back heel clearance from Romero? That's confidence in everybody else around you. Do you remember that one?
That's a middle finger to the Romero haters. I think that
balls.
Was.
Listen, what that is confidence in the goalkeeper. Right, exactly. And confidence in your back line, man. And we're seeing from Vicario, his ability to even dummy people now to lead in the most forward attacker, do a little fake, and then push it out the other direction to start an attack from out of the back, man. These are great things that we're seeing, man. And he didn't have a whole hell of a lot to do as far as the save, but he stopped what was coming at him. His position was good with the shot from Billings. I don't think that was going to go in, even if it was on target. I think Vicario had it covered. So, it's going to come down to when we see the stronger teams, when the Liverpool's going to have a hell of a lot more shots on target than Bournemouth did, and your Man City's, where he's really going to be tested. But right now, when it comes to us getting caught on the break like last season and then being all at sea in the back, and we have to rely on some specialty from the goalkeeper, I feel a lot more confident if that happens in Big Vic right now.
Need to ask a member of the goalkeepers union here, Jacob. I think he was asked a lot of in terms of his saving ability against Man United, maybe less so in terms of what he can do in possession. But today, it felt like he was asked to do a lot in possession, Mr. Big Vic. And I thought he looked pretty damn fine. He looked good. He looked confident. He looked like he knew what he was doing. And none of those things I've ever said about Lloris.
Vicario Sicario, the mercenary, villainous leader that we all needed behind the stage. We need a madman behind our back line. And I know our back line has been improved, but I was a madman behind the sticks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm screaming. I'm losing my grip on reality back there because you're back there and you're just waiting to play. And again, let's remember the pressure that's on a goalkeeper. Let's show some love to the goalkeeper because a goalkeeper makes a mistake. Now your team's down one. A striker, Richarlison, makes 20 mistakes. It doesn't mean we're down one. So the pressure for a guy to come in to the Premier League, a new league, to start, be the number one who's wearing 13, an unlucky number if you believe in that kind of thing. And he's come in and he's put in shifts since the preseason. Every match, he's answered more and more questions. Today, he answered my question a little bit more of, okay, my concerns are now on your ball distribution. He's calm as hell. Yeah, you're pressing him, you're running at him, boop, there it goes. Oh, let me see. I think he's just, the more comfortable he gets, the more that sweeper keeper that we were hoping we're gonna get is gonna happen. But as far as the other stuff, when it comes to a goalkeeper, shot saving, reaction, ability to get up, get down, read the play, come out when you need to, punch in the box. He's checking every box every week.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. I think people were all up in arms about him in the beginning, and now they're all singing his name. Talk to me nicely is what I got to say.
What did you, just quickly back to you, Jacob, on sort of his saves against Man United? I kind of, I labeled them as, at least one of them I thought was a truly crack, save, which I think is sort of like when a goalkeeper just sort of does like things where he contorts his body and has those sort of type of reaction type saves that only a top class keeper can have, because the average person just can't jump in the air and like sort of just react that sort of way. And do you feel like against Man United he showed, because Lloris used to have that, like at his best form, Lloris had the crack save in him where he would just sort of all of a sudden, fling across, the goal and make a save like that. And I thought Venom was sort of doing that as well. So I don't know, Jacob, has he shut up the haters in two ways, with his saving ability, but then, today with his ability on the ball? Do you think he's doing better?
I think it's one of those things. People are going to doubt you until you give them a reason not to. Right. And it's fair when a new keeper comes in. We're having a change of ownership back there in the keeper's position, right? We've had Hugo Lloris for his good things and his bad things. We've judged him accordingly. But when you have nothing to judge a guy on, but the fact that he played for Empoli, which 95% of Spurs fans don't watch Empoli. I don't watch Empoli. All right. I'm saying, so I didn't know who this guy was. But the thing is, quality will always be louder than the haters. That's the way I see it. Or the doubters. Let's not say haters. That's kind of a trigger word for people. The doubters. Because I think it's fair. And doubting's not bad. I doubt Richarlison. I doubt Kulusevski. But prove me wrong. And that's what he's doing. Romero, statement season so far. 3 out of 3 matches. Bad boy. What a bad, naughty, naughty boy. But that's the thing is, you need the opportunity first to prove these people wrong, and the time. And especially in a position like goalkeeper, it's one of those highly scrutinized positions. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I mean, 2 clean sheets, 3 saves this match. He had, 6 saves versus United, 4 from inside the box. So he showed I can save it up close. I can save it from down deep. There was another one as well today. I don't remember who it was, Christie or someone banged a shot, just fizzed it. And I mean, hell of a shot. Boom, calm as you like. Clap, there ain't nothing. Boom, I'm watching Onana, wondering What's the difference between these guys? They both are good at shot stopping. Onana just wants to be a midfielder at heart, but Vicario doesn't. That's his box, and he's owning it. And the longer the dog pees on the lamppost, the more it becomes the dog's lamppost. So just let the man breathe, let the man live, and enjoy the fact that he's not playing volleyball when someone shoots a power shot at him. I like that.
Another thing, though, I do like, which is what Welsh Gal has brought up here, is that he's, goalkeepers should be slightly off their head. It is a rule. I agree with that. I do think they need to be a little bit crazy. I think they need to be kind of a little bit loose in the head, at least a tiny bit, because that kind of sort of gives them that confidence to sort of rush out of their goal, with a rush of blood, and then it ends up being the right decision. And I think that's part of, being a great goalkeeper, is just being, a little bit crazy. And I completely agree with you, Welsh Gal, and I'm getting that vibe from Vicario right now. So I've been told from the caller on the cheese room as well, Welsh Gal, is that he's a lot more vocal than Lloris ever was. Someone said that in the Man United game, they said he was screaming at his players, in each and every moment, far more than they ever heard Lloris ever do. And that's also pretty shocking to think about, because Lloris was our captain out of the back line. Dark Sun G says, our team is in full sync. No more French and Wales mafia anymore. It's not even if there was a mafia, it feels like all the mafias are getting along in this team, Nick.
I know, man. It's like a commission. That's what they used to call the mafia. Yeah, the mafia, the heads getting together and making stuff happen behind the scenes, man. It's like there's a commission, man. And to what you were saying, man, I think it was Philip Brady from Tottenham Hotspur Till I Die. He was at I think he was at the Brentford match, and he said that he was at a preseason, and he said he can't remember a Spurs goalkeeper since Jennings speaking as much as Vicario was, and Vicario's English isn't even that good, and he's still yelling at people in Italian, I guess, or broken English or whatever. And you know what, man? I mean, that's the kind of positive push forward. People talk about the hair dryer treatment and how captains need that. It's not necessarily the case that you need that from all over the pitch or one person. You need some positivity. The goalkeeper is marshaling the back line. Maybe we don't all like him to be the captain in charge of the entire pitch. I certainly don't, but you need him. He's, as Jacob has alluded many times, man, you're seeing the whole game get played out in front of you, man. So you need somebody who has that scope to be able to marshal what's in front of him defensively, man. And that's something that clearly Hugo was not as adept as we needed at.
And that's the thing too, Nick. I'm glad that you said that, because for me as a keeper, I never shut up. Why should I? I'm not running the whole match. I got plenty of breath to yell. And granted, when I played indoor, it was a little bit annoying for people. They're like, all right, shut up. But I mean, at the same time, you're watching. You're just like the manager standing there watching. And all you can do is yell what you're thinking. Hey, watch this guy, back door. Hey, you got a runner. Don't shut up, Vicario. Keep yelling. Before the matches, you're seeing him rooting on. He's not even close to a captain, but he's still yelling, come on, boys. Come on, boys. I mean, I think we got a hell of a... This is why I think we were so quick to say, you know what? No, Rhea, no problem. Let's go get us the madman from Italy. And I love him. I love a crazy bastard back there. Hugo was too calm. I loved Hugo for all of his servitude. Obviously had problems with him last season, and my conspiracy theories about the injury. But I like a madman back. Emi Martinez, that guy. Say what you want about him, but there's a level that madness helps you. It takes you to that extra 5%, like we saw in the World Cup final. I'm not comparing a World Cup winner.
No, I agree with you.
But I'm saying that madness, that mentality trait of like, you're not thinking. You're not thinking. A goalkeeper should not be thinking. If you're thinking, you're already losing. Your job is to react and conduct. And that's how I've always seen it. And you know what? Long may it continue. Yeah, he's been doing it.
Game recognizes game too, because there's a reason why Buffon and other people in the Italian game have rated Vicario so highly, even though he's been under the radar for us. There's other people out there that have been saying this guy, if it wasn't for Donnarumma, this guy would be the future of Italian goalkeeping right now. But there is a Donnarumma.
To be fair, too, Give it time. I mean, Donnarumma is not doing very well in the last year and a half, and give it time. And Big Vic could be all of a sudden in that Italian team. And I think he's already been called up once. Maybe he can get a little bit further up the squad. Big up to you, Dark Sun Gene. It's good to see that the mafias aren't, causing these sort of fractions in the squad. And even if they were some sort of groups or kind of cliques, it seems like they're all getting along right now, which is a good thing to see. Derek Smith, an American Irish Hotspur takeover. It is, my friend. Good to see you in the house, Derek, as always. John Fitzpatrick moving over back to the homeland. Good to see that, John. And I'd hope you get to a few more games, especially maybe hit up Dave as well. I think you guys would love to go to a game together. Big up to you, John Fitzpatrick. Hopefully you're keeping well. Finally, we've gotten to it. I stopped Jacob short a bit rudely on it, but we're going to talk about Big Richie. Jacob, in my opinion, he had a good first half. And I feel like he deserved, with all of his good, sort of moments with hold-up play. He had some really good flick-ons. One of them was to Kulusevski that I pointed out in the watch-along. If that was Sonny that had that, received that flick-on, it would have been a goal. But Kulu, for some reason, stopped it short with a poor touch. I don't really recall too many times in the first half where he even gave it away. I actually thought he was really good in possession. And then when he was getting his rewards, when he was given those opportunities to score, as you will with the striker when you're playing well, he just didn't finish them. And he, just was left unconvincing. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on, my opinion that he actually played well in the first half, but then in the second half, he was completely the opposite?
I think I would agree with you there that the link-up play in the first half was there. He looked willing to come in deep, connect, win the ball, pass it back. Let me run forward. Let's see if we can get the thing moving up now. And I like that. His work rate. So I like the work I saw. It seemed like he was like, okay, the second half, I have to come out and I have to prove it to everybody that I can score a damn Premier League goal. And I think you saw it. He couldn't even, no one was around you, Richie.
Yeah.
Nobody was there. I don't even do that on the ball. I play goalkeeper, and I'm the goalkeeper that says, don't pass me the ball. I play keeper for a reason. I'm not good with the ball at my feet. I want to be Zlatan, but I'm not. Richie is a striker. How does he have one touch more than he had last week in an abysmal performance? I don't understand it. I don't want to. I hate doing this, Jack, where I say, okay, this is the player. Let's put him in this box, and this is what he can do, what he can't do. And I don't like to do it, but sometimes you got to get the box out. And I don't want to get the box out, but I might be getting the box out on Richarlison, if you know what I mean, because this guy, it's like, I know, I don't think it's the weight of replacing a Harry Kane. There's no way. You can't imagine, like, I'm going to come in and replace Harry Kane. No one can replace Harry Kane. We need two people to do that. And I always said when we signed James Maddison, that's one of the two in the equation we need to replace Harry Kane. I was like, I don't know if Richarlison could do it. Let's give him 3 matches. It's been 3 matches. I'm done. I don't know where Ainge is. Maybe one more since it's a Carabao Cup. Let's give him 60 more minutes and a start. Maybe. But when we play Burnley, I don't want to see him start, quite frankly, unless he bags a hat trick at Fulham at the Craven Cottage. I doubt it. You're playing Adama Traore, let's remember. But I just don't. I'm not seeing it at this juncture, Jack. I'm not. I don't want to put players in boxes. I don't want to say this is what you can do and what you can't do, because I think we're humans and we can blossom like a flower and show you a color you've never seen before. But I'm losing hope, man. I'm losing faith. He can score, but he just can't for us. I don't understand. When you get the ball at your feet, bro, just control it. And he
looks like he can score. It's just not for us. I agree with that. I
just don't get it, man. I've lost my patience. I don't want to see him anymore personally. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him a couple more games because Ainge has alluded to it. But also, you could just be playing chess in the media's thing. But Richarlison, how many more touches? One more touch than last week. He had 29 touches.
Do you appreciate, just quickly, Jacob, that, Ange, even if he's keeping a lot of faith in Richie, he's also not being, stubborn about it, where he's keeping him on for 90 minutes, right? And both
or 70 or 80.
United, right. He's took him off quite early. Like, he's given him his 60 minutes, and then he's like, all right, that's, you had your chance, and, we're going to try something else now. And do you kind of appreciate that, even if he is keeping faith in Richie?
I love it, because not just Richie, Son, week 1, you're starting to be ineffective. Get out of there. I love it. That's what you have to have. You can't have what we had last season, seasons prior, where it's like, just stick with it. Just keep beating this damn hammer. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Whereas now, it feels like Ange Postecoglou just says, "You're not doing it right now, so go on get." And I love that because that's the mentality we need to have from our manager. The style, even less time he got this week than last week, equally as abysmal, but again, his passing, there was some good passes. I remember at least 2 or 3 times where I was like, "Ooh, nice, Richie. That was a good one, Richie. Yay." Now I think they were all in the first half. So I think that's why maybe, Jack, you do feel a little bit like in the first half he was like, okay, okay. But in the
I
second
think he
half,
deserved a goal in the first half, and then in the second half he was polar opposite, like a completely different
what
person.
happened there whenever he had it and he juked the keeper, and then instead of just hit it, just hit the ball. I know the guy was right there. You
yeah.
just megged him. But instead,
But
he
he
like
didn't need to meg him, though. That's the thing. I think he just should have shot it from that moment, right? He did well enough that he just should have shot it. Instead, he tried to cut across from there. A little tiny deflection. Makes the ball. Get a little bit out of his direction.
I
He
think
actually
8
does
out of
pretty
10
well
Premier
actually after that, and then he ends up someone gets stuck in on him, and he gets unlucky there. But I don't know. Like, what do you?
8 out of
Sorry,
10 Premier League strikers finish that.
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins, say what you will, I don't think he's a complete striker at all, but he'll finish that.
I sort of said in the watch along, Nick, that I feel like he had such a good first half that what makes then a good striker is you do all these other things that then later in the game will reward you, with like a nice, easy chance to finish. And then everybody's like, look, he held up the ball, he did this, he did that. Then he got his just rewards and got a goal. But then Richie just doesn't take advantage of that chance that's given to him, to get his just rewards.
I mean, Jack, we've seen other players go through very, very similar things in the past at other teams and other droughts. I don't think this has anything to do with the Harry Kane replacement situation, not least of which because this is a carry on from last season. He had this problem last season too. This is not just, since Harry Kane has left. What's becoming very clearly apparent, and it's really good to see that it looks like Ange sees it too, is the frustration is building up in Richarlison. And he did have a couple, not necessarily on a plate, but damn good chances he could have finished in the first half. And you can see that frustration builds up and his game gets worse and worse as those chances are bobbled. And you got to be, clinically decisive as a manager, especially in this system, and just got to bring the hook out. I just don't think, this is a crazy one. It's not going to happen, but I say get Richarlison. I think it's going to be a really, really busy next 5 days, really culminating up into Friday and the last day of the window. But hey, get Richarlison and Højbjerg out to Atletico Madrid. Man, help them solve a couple of problems. Get Richarlison's wages paid. Bring in Gift Orban, somebody
Felix?
that can do the job.
He needs a club. He didn't even got his shirt number.
Felix needs a club, but that's another headache we don't.
Are you giving up on him that quickly, Nick? You're starting
I think maybe the smart decision,
not quickly. Sorry,
the pragmatic decision would be to rip the Band-Aid off right now. I like Richarlison. Okay. I wish he would succeed, but I think that if we make a drastic change real quick, we're going to see a lot more benefit than if we hang around and it does become a toxic situation. I don't think his attitude is really the problem in general, but you can see the frustration building on his face, and we really don't need that in a new look Tottenham that's trying to move forward. In this system, man, you got to make really, really hard decisions. The problem is going to be the same problem it's been for the last 20 years. It's going to be a certain man in the back room that wants to see a return on his investment. But you need to, if we can maybe, and like I said, I think it's going to happen, but get him quickly out to somewhere where he has a little less pressure on him and he can get goals, have him playing next to Griezmann or something like that, where he can, they can calm down a little bit and spend a year. And then, hey, maybe bring him back if he starts shooting again. But, right now we got a problem that needs solving very, very quickly.
I think if you spend 60 million on him, you can't really think about loaning him out, as much as I understand what you're trying to say, like, just to see if it ends up working out for him. And then you bring him back, fully confident, once again, that does make sense. But, you feel like you spent 60 million on a guy, you're sort of believing that he's able to do it. And
Well,
my
yeah,
other
but
thing
then
with Richie,
what if
yeah,
he's
go ahead.
not
Sorry.
doing it? What if you got a 60 million
Well,
problem
that's,
sitting on
I
the
think you
bench
got to
when you
cut
got
it.
somebody else coming in? I mean,
You
I think
either keep the faith or you don't, I think.
and then
Sorry.
what do you do? Do you have him sitting on the bench for a full year and you bring in somebody else? And then the problem is with that though, Jack, is that his value drops dramatically if he's not playing and shooting. Then you got a big $60 million
I would
problem.
argue his value's already dropped.
It is. It
The
has.
year and
That's
a
why I'm
half
saying
he's been-
get him out immediately to somewhere where he can start shooting again, where we don't lose the value on him.
Nick, what I think
Mhm.
needs to happen for Richarlison is we need to sign a guy that we say this is the other striker. Now Richarlison, he's on the bench this first match. We just got him. He's on the bench. He's waiting, chomping at the bit. You got 60 minutes, bud. You got 60 minutes to go. And then based on that, if he does do good, okay, you get to start again next week. If he doesn't, we sub in the next guy. Next week, that guy gets to start, whoever it may be. I don't even care who it may be. Start him over Richie. Let Richie watch from the bench, and then give Richie another chance off of the bench, though. I'm not saying to write him off completely. Give him another 25, 30 minutes off the bench. Let's see if he can go out there and turn himself around, because when he did come on for us in the substitute appearances, when he looked the best at Tottenham, and granted, he's not looked good at all, but I don't like the fact that last week he was blaming his ineffectiveness on the fact he didn't get service. He wasn't getting fed the ball. He's not this. And that. To me, he's already looking at excuses as to why his output isn't good. When in reality, it's, bro, just finish your dinner and we're not having this conversation.
Yeah.
And again, today, finish your dinner twice. I remember there was, could have done better there.
Yeah, I agree with I can see why some people would see him as maybe a bit of a distraction from things that are going on, because he's the one guy that isn't vibing right now, that isn't having, as good of a time as everybody else. At the same time, though, he does seem to be a guy that's just a very expressive person, and I think a lot of people do probably see him that way, where if he looks, he doesn't hide his emotions. I think Richarlison, like when he's angry, he looks angry. When he's upset, he looks upset. When he's happy, he looks delighted. When he's a shit house, he's a shit house, and everybody loves him. But I just think people probably who know him well enough within the squad probably get that with him. And so when they see him looking frustrated, I don't think they take it personally that they've done something to, to push him the wrong way. I think they just sort of see him as a guy that's disappointed in himself. And I think he has a bit of the Sonny in him too, that he does seem to, when he's not playing well, he does seem to sort of take it very sort of personally, kind of in the moment, as Sonny does as well. Sonny gets very frustrated with himself when he hasn't done something the way he can. And I think Richarlison's a bit similar. Not saying they're nearly as good as each other, but they do have sort of similar body language when they are upset with themselves, from what I can tell. And I'm keeping the faith in Richarlison. That's more out of delusion and out of, just simple, loving the guy for, I think what he is, as a person. But in terms of him as an actual striker, bias aside, I kind of agree with Jacob and Nick. I think if you get an opportunity to maybe just move on from this saga, you might as well. I don't think he's doing really enough on a consistent basis to really warrant being given, too much more time. Because I think, like I said today, he had, in my opinion, a pretty good first half. And then you get your chance to, sort of write off any of the criticism with a goal when you get that one opportunity, and he just doesn't take it. And at the end of the day, for Premier League strikers, you're going to be given only one or two or three opportunities, and you sort of have to take one of them. And Richie, even when he's playing well, isn't taking those opportunities. He could play shit for 90 minutes, but if he took that opportunity, no one would really care. And I think Harry Kane was actually quite good at that at times, when Harry would be anonymous for like 60, 70 minutes, and then everybody's like, where's Harry been? All of a sudden he pops up with a header at the back post, and then, we're 1-0 up. And Richarlison just hasn't done that, and he hasn't shown that he will do that at any stage soon. So I guess it's still going to be bookmarked, let's say, this Harry Kane, or not Harry Kane, this Richarlison conversation. Kev Williams, though, member for 3 months, top man Kev, says, if Richarlison was getting goals for fun, would we buy a striker? I think Spurs have to bring in a striker to the disappointment of Levy. From what I can tell, Kev, Richarlison is being given a lot of faith, and some might say more faith than he deserves right now, because the rumor mills around the strikers are not really all that hot. We're going more after wingers, from what we can tell, than really strikers. And also, it feels like Ange, when he's been asked about him, has kept a lot of faith in the guy. So Richarlison might be quite lucky with how much love he's getting from, I think, Ange as well as sort of the club in general. And the fan base, if anything, seem maybe more like, let's say, less patient than actually the club do, or even Ange do at this moment in time. The fan base seem more desperate for somebody to compete with. Would you agree, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Williams and I are on the same page right now because we need goals coming in from the front. Kulu scored today. I think that's he shines on something to look at for the future, especially him getting into the box. I don't think him coming in from the outside and taking that long shot from his left, I don't think many of those are going to go in. I think he's going to have to rush in, but I do see him popping up with goals. But we need goals coming in from the front, and we need somebody. Just Richie does not have the clinicism. He doesn't have he takes a little bit too long, one extra touch or a bad touch. It's just, it's not the type of striker that we need. As much as we thought, well, hey, he's going to fit into this off the ball, sacrificial lamb striker structure. It's not working because he's missing that the key aspect of it. And whoever thinks that Lukaku is the answer hasn't been paying attention to how we're playing ball, man. I don't see how a freight train works in this situation, man. But we need a very clinical
tank.
Yeah, we need a very, very clinical striker in this system right now. And Tottenham, suggesting that Ange could play up front as striker. I think that's the smartest thing the guy said all day right now. I wouldn't even mind seeing him subbed on for Richie right now.
You said we didn't need a freight train, but we need the Ainge train up top.
we need the Ainge train.
In there.
I can see him putting it in the back of him, finishing in his dinner when his dinner's put in front of him. He looks like he likes a good meal.
Good man, Kev Williams. Good to see you in the house, my friend, as well. Just wanted to say hello to Tenor Pool. Hopefully you're keeping well, Tenor Pool. And then the one and only Bobby K is joining us this afternoon. Good to see you, Bobby K. A beautiful day indeed. A good day to be a Spurs fan, my friend. We're in Spurs heaven. It's just Spurs fest right now. My friend, we're post Richie conversation, though, so we can move on from that one. Do you feel like, though, Kulusevski, you brought this up earlier, Jacob. I'll start with yourself. Did he impress you on the day? He did end up scoring the second goal. That was a very vital one. It was a beautiful play down the left-hand side. I actually would maybe argue another sort of kind of brilliant team goal, in my opinion, from kind of Sonny's initial pass to Udogie, then Udogie with that beautiful cutback. But Kulusevski performance, are you starting to see, his best again, or still a little unconvinced?
Dan Kulusevski. This is a guy I've been frustrated with for quite some time. But again, a guy I don't want to put in a box. Today, I really feel like that goal kind of covered a lot of the cracks and inefficiencies in his game. I thought in the first half he was absolutely woeful. Second half he was better. I get so frustrated when I see Kulusevski in open space because I feel like he can sprint, but maybe he doesn't trust his own speed or something, and he just seems like he doesn't trust his legs. And maybe that's me speculating on the man, but he got the goal, covered some cracks. I thought his cross, I guess, and now I'm looking at the numbers, he only had one, and I just remember it going into no man's land, kind of nada. And then, for the rest, I thought he just looks like typical Kulusevski. A guy you can literally write a script for. Give him the ball. He's going to drive down the right. Then he cuts it on his left. And it's like, I need more. I want more. I'm glad he got the goal. Michael, my other half of United Spurs of America, he said, he texts me because I've been saying a bunch of things about Kulu lately, that this, that, and the other about him, and I kind of think that he has been struggling for us. And he texts me and says, Kulu better get as much love as the disrespect. And to me, I don't think it's disrespect, first and foremost, to say when a guy's playing like shit, personally. I don't think it's disrespectful. It's criticism, and criticism is always allowed, and when you're looking at something in the way that we look at this sport. So, but yeah, he got the goal. Can't really hate on him. When you win by 2 goals and he got one of them, can't really say too much bad about him. But for me, I just think he still has to step up. I hope this is now the thing that gets him to step up, because quite frankly, anytime that ball goes out to him on the right, I just have zero confidence or hope that he's going to beat his man, zero confidence that he's going to play a progressive pass. And he's just kind of, you give it to him, he's going to look, and I'll give it back. And it's just like, personally, a little bored of seeing him. I'm bored of it, of his contribution. But you know what? In the what Nick was saying earlier, these kinds of goals are not going to be individual brilliance, which it wasn't. It was, he got in the great position. His timing, his positional awareness in that moment was fantastic. But all credit, not all credit, but I'm going to give 75% of credit at least to Destiny Ugodi, laying it all out to save that there, to where it was such a question if he saved it. They had to look at it all angles, make sure that the ball didn't go out, because the man, unbelievable pace and power to get down and get there, just to get it to go to fizz it across the net like that. That's exactly what you want from your players out wide, and Udogie did that. So I give more of the credit to the goal on the build-up play and Udogie's willingness to not quit in that moment to save that ball. And Kulusevski, I'm gonna give him his props. The positional, that's how Sarr scored his goal. He got in a great position. Kulusevski did not give up on the play either. So I'm giving him props. I thought first half he annoyed me to the end, in which he always annoys me. But positionally, got into a great spot. The finish, it does take some calmness to finish that. But again, the pace was already on the ball. He just needed to direct it, basically. Just guide it. Just let it ricochet off your foot and guide it in. And he did. And I've seen him plenty of times flub those and send it way wide of the mark. So, again, he's a young guy. I don't want to put him in a box. And I hope that this is one of those stepping stones he can use to say, I can use my right foot. You guys, I can do more than just cut in on my left. I can get in the box and be a positional awareness kind of guy and not just float out there on the right. So I hope it continues. I hope he continues to put me in the mud, because right now, according to Michael, I am in the mud because of my disrespect for Kulu.
I don't know if he had necessarily a bad game. I don't know if he had the best game by any means, but he did have a good finish. I think you can't write off that finish whatsoever, considering how many chances I've seen us miss. As much as James Maddison scored today, I think this is another game where he probably could have had a hat trick or could have had a brace. I feel like Maddison, hasn't been actually the most clinical. And also Richarlison, who we were speaking about just earlier, hasn't really been all that clinical either. So I think at the end of the day, you just sort of take what you can get. And it was a pretty good finish, I think, from Kulusevski. But I agree with you that I don't know what he really did that was all that influential maybe before that. I think he wasn't giving the ball away, or he wasn't really being sloppy in possession, but he wasn't being all that influential either. Do you agree with maybe Jacob's sort of frustration with Kulusevski, Nick, or are you kind of on a different plane?
You know what? I mean, I understand it. I'm not as frustrated with Kulusevski as a lot of people are. I think that tactically there's a reason why we see him every game. And I think has a lot to do with his off the ball work, and defensively. There's a reason why Pedro Porro, yes, he's gotten better defensively, but it's the interchange between Kulusevski and Porro, the overlaps between each other that are really locking down that right-hand side, and especially why we didn't see Bournemouth getting a lot of joy down that side at all today. It's because Kulu is there working in between Romero and Porro to lock down crosses that are coming in from that side. And just, I mean, look at his defensive work. Now, I'm just reflecting in my mind, some of the things that we saw, some of the clearances and the moves forward, man. There's a reason, not just offensively. I know he's a winger. I know he's supposed to be creating, things going forward, but I'm going to reference again these next 5 days is the reason why we're seeing so much of him, and so much of him in, that right wing position, is because we don't know, and Ange doesn't know exactly what's going to happen next week. And I think that depending on whether we do bring in a striker, what we do with Richarlison, I think after next week, we may see a lot of changes. We're probably going to see more of Manor Solomon come in after next week, because we'll have a better idea of what the front three is going to look like and what our options look like. I honestly don't see much of a future for Richarlison in the coming weeks, unless something changes dramatically. I think Ange sees that too. And I see possibly Kulusevski moving inside a bit more and opening space up for different changes. A Son playing on the right
Yeah.
and a Solomon showing up on the left. I really kind of like Solomon on the right. I know that's not his natural position, but it looks like he has a decent cross in, especially a low cross with his right foot. Then I expect to see things like that. The combination of a left-footed Kulusevski up top with a right-footed Solomon bringing the low cross in, man, that's a Tommy tap in, joy fest every day of the week.
Well, yeah. Even if you're not putting in the crosses, though, I think I feel like Solomon has been at least more eager and taking on his man, or has been more effective and more sort of efficient in sort of the way that he tries to take past his man and sort of create some space. We have just one more question here for you lads, and then a man of the match question, and then we'll wrap this up here. And Just a Harmless Potato, fantastic name, has gotten me started off on this second to last question. Do you maybe think about moving Sonny into the striker role? I'll start with you, Nick. I'll go back to you, actually. Do you feel like Sonny looked good playing through the middle? I thought he did. And is that something
I think he looks fine playing through the middle, but I like exactly the way it's going right now. I like to see him being shifted out there later in the game. I don't think that it's an effective use of him as a starter. I think that the only reason we might do that is with an ineffective Richarlison. I think that it has to be Sonny starting on the left up until we figure out exactly how the front three works out. I mean, I got no problem with him being subbed on and it changing, because it keeps the opposition on its toes as well. They have to figure out a different style to defend against, because he's certainly a different type of middle striker than Richarlison. And Dave's talked about it a lot. I'm as much as I love Son, aerial threat is not in his bag. It's just not what he does. And you take him, you put him in the middle and you take Richarlison out of there. It's just, we don't have that aerial threat, in as a possibility, man. And with as much as we rely on crosses in the system, it's just, I think it's selling ourselves short a little bit. So I'm happy with the way it is now for right now.
You're muted, Jack. But if you're going to ask me,
do you agree with Nick? Is all I said. Sonny, maybe don't start him in the middle, but later in the game, maybe play him through the middle.
Jack, I'm kind of done. I think this may be a perfect go there to Craven Cottage. They ain't seen it yet. Sonny starting down the middle. I want to see it from kickoff. I want to see fresh legs Sonny, see him impact in that role. I thought he was great in the limited role he did for there against United. I didn't really see much from him today in that role, because when it happened, it just seemed like we were playing in other areas of the park. So I would like to see it from the jump, and maybe the Carabao Cup is the perfect time. I've been saying 3 matches, and then I'm putting Son at the middle. And Perisic and Solomon, I say let him fight it out for it. But right now, it does seem like Perisic is in favor to get that starting left wing position, should it be available, because in the substitute appearances, Perisic, I mean, I don't rate him defensively, but he puts his body there. I don't know what Solomon can give us defensively yet. And I think that's also why we're seeing Kulusevski, despite the slow starts and what have you, why he hasn't really been subbed out that much except for week 1. Because I don't know that Ainge believes Solomon's got the defensive work to do what you were kind of saying, what y'all were mentioning earlier, how Kulu drops into that role and occupies that space, and he does do some defensive work. I mean, Sean Butler's alluded to the same thing, that you can't get rid of Kulusevski because of him winning the ball back in defense, that he does that well. And you know what? I guess I haven't looked at it from that standpoint, and if that's true, that he did, I think he's got a strong frame on him, and that can do wonders. You know how much I like a strong, girthy frame on a player, and I think he's got that. It's just, you've got the power, but I don't have the pace and I feel like to be successful, you need to have both power and pace. P&P, baby. And I just think he only has one P. He needs both Ps. But in regards to the side, kind of digressing, going back to Kulusevski, but my front three, I'm saying for Craven Cottage, I'm putting Son in the middle. I don't care who starts on the left, whoever Ainge puts, I trust, but let me see Son down the middle. It's not working with who we've got down the middle so far.
And back to you, Jacob, man of the match, my friend, and tell us
Ooh.
about your channel as well. Double.
A little double. There we go. My man of the match. Can I give you my runner up? Oh, I really wanted to give him the man of the match.
Give him 3 if you can't decide. Give me 3 of them. We
Mickey Van de Veen and Christian Romero. Them two honorable mentions. The partnership they're building, the work rate that they both have. You mentioned it. They're both occupying spaces trying to stop the guy. And it's like, we're used to not having anyone try and stop the guy. Now we've got 2 hungry dogs back there on chains trying to eat the meat. And you know what? I appreciate what they're doing back there. Everyone's looked at Christian Romero and they said, we need to have a big season out of him. He's vice captain. He's got to be calm. Talk to me nicely, because what did he do today outside of being fabulous in every facet? I didn't see one thing wrong. Neither did the ref. So that foul on top of the box on number 22 or 24, whatever his name was, I ain't worried about it. Ref see nothing. I ain't see nothing either. Kuti for me, phenomenal. My honorable mention, but I have to give my man of the match to James Madison. Too good. He's just too damn good. Nick, you said in the beginning of the show, too much sauce.
Yeah, man.
Too much sauce on that man. It was just a matter of time till he had his first goal. He got his first Tottenham Hotspur goal. We got to see the dart celly, and then we got to see Sonny, Sarr, and Madison do the dart celly. And if you watch the video back, watch my man Romero. He's a glutton for violence. He comes up and 2-hand smacks Madison in the back of the head. Normally he just smacks Sonny upside the head, but he came behind. Watch the celebration when they all do the dart. Romero comes up, bam, give you a concussion. I don't give a damn. I love it. What we're building as a team. James Madison adds so much to it, not just on the field, but behind the scenes. How quickly he became a leader, and he's established himself already. I love the guy. Fantastic performance. 2 assists, 1 goal already in 3 matches. This man is cooking. He's cooking, and I'm hungry. Feed me, James Madison. That's my man of the match.
Tell us about your channel.
My channel, United Spurs of America. Don't know. I'm gonna do something today. I didn't do anything tomorrow, I didn't do anything tomorrow. I didn't do anything yesterday. My wife was having some pretty rough morning sickness yesterday, so there's the ball drop. My wife, we are expecting our second child, so she was a little sick yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She trust me, she is not nearly as excited as I am, because she's going through it. Poor her.
Well,
but
just show her some Ange ball, and then she'll want to have 3 more kids.
You know
she's
what?
The beauty of this world.
That's what I'm saying. She say let's get more Tottenham Hotspur little babies around here. I'm all for it. That's my lot in life, man. Having a kid was my calling. So, but yeah, I do have a channel. It does take a back seat to my beautiful boy and my beautiful wife. United Spurs of America. We hit over 2K not too long ago, so very proud of that. Very happy of all the people that come tune in. I will do something later tonight. I don't know what time, I don't know when, but whenever the boss lets me, I will have something tonight on the channel. It might be late, but I want to have something. I didn't have anything yesterday, and I try to be live or have a video. I've been live 5 to 6 times a week, and that's once per day. I don't go twice per day. I don't need to go twice per day. There's no need. There's not enough to talk about. But I will be live at some point tonight, today, this morning, whatever it may be for you. So come check us out. It'll be a good time.
Everybody, head on over to USA Spurs. Please show them some love. And also, if you're looking for a bit of late night content, it will be open for you, Mr.
Open
Mr.
for business.
Jake Bill, and he's done us plenty of service. He's helped us out plenty of times. So help him out. Let's get him over to 3K, but also show him some love tonight when he does go live. Nick, let us know as well your man of the match, but also answer this question with Kev Williams from me here. So maybe man of the match first, and then take this one from Kev Williams.
Hasper TV. The joke is, son is Finnish. He's Korean. He's Finnish. No, he's Korean. Get it? Finnish. Gotcha. My man of the match is Son Heung-min, because he had a dominant performance, carried the ball up and down the pitch. He dictated play, dictated the pass of the play, and basically, every defender just bounced him off, bounced right off of him. I'm giving him a 9 out of 10, just for Hasper. Right there. No, actually, Jacob stole mine right out of my mouth, man. It was James Madison, because he really is stamping his authority on this team. He had the opposition midfield basically run in circles around him with Basuma's help, of course. But man, it's really, he was the action man. He got his goal, of course, but it looked really to me like everything was coming right through him. So I'm giving him my man of the match. There were a lot of performances that deserved a shout too. Udogie, fantastic again. I thought even a better performance than last week, which was, I thought, a little bit off the boil, but still decent. Our defense is just getting better and better, but for me, it's Madison all the way around. The signings, Kev Williams, man, I definitely think it's a goal scorer. It's a clinical goal scorer. I would love to have another center back. I think, I'm speaking from the choir, like a lot of people. I would really love to have another center back. If Højbjerg goes out, if Lo Celso goes out, I think we may be found a little bit short in the midfield. But right now, a clinical striker seems ultra important right now because Richie's just not doing the job.
For me, Kev Williams, I'm kind of maybe center back first. I do think we should go after some sort of attacking option. Whether Ange thinks it needs to be a winger or a striker, that's up to Ange. I'm not going to make that decision for him. I'm not even sure which one I think we need, because if he really has that much faith in Richarlison, I don't know then if it's really worth just getting another striker then that's just going to sit really on the bench behind him. I think then you try to find some sort of alternative that's more of a winger that maybe then would be able to allow Sonny to move inside, and then you still have an effective winger out on the left, so you're not losing too much with moving Sonny from his best position. But I still think we need a center back that can fill in for Mickey van de Ven. And hopefully we have some sort of center back. If it's Ashley Phillips, if it's Alfie Dorrington, I'm happy, but we need a center back that can fill in for Romero too. As much as Sanchez has had some good performances, towards the end, I guess, of his Spurs career in preseason, I'm not really all that much convinced. I do feel like, we've seen this tale before with him. Don't get me wrong. He's looked a lot better than Eric Dyer, I think, would, but I still don't think that's not saying much. I think that he needs to go. I think Dyer needs to go. And I think we need to find a good backup for Mickey van de Ven, because if we don't, that means one of those guys is thrown back into the lineup once again, and we're finding ourselves with the same problems we had last season with that back line. So for me, keep pushing on bringing in more defenders, because then that means we won't be crying or won't be as nervous when, in case a bad thing happens to a Romero or a Van de Ven or suspension injury, whatever it may be, there will be those moments. And I'd like to have some backup that at least I'm confident in, instead of a backup that I know what the story is going to be. And that's the case with Dyer, Sanchez, and the rest of the crew. So that's for me. And then I would say, like I said, another sort of left winger, striker of some sort, whatever Ange thinks is the better of those two. Top man, Kev Williams. For me, the man of the match as well. I'm going to give Sonny a close second. I actually thought Sonny just had such an underrated performance. I thought his hold-up play was spectacular on the day, and I think he's probably not given enough credit for it. But man of the match, I think it is Madison. As much as maybe he was brought up early and everything, he just ran the show. I think maybe Basuma was more the boss in the other games in the midfield, and Madison was sort of his counterpart, his other sort of his other actor. But today, I think it was more the Madison show than it was the Basuma show. So top man to matters, and I'm giving the man a match to him. And I think we're going to end it off there, everybody. Please smash that like button on your way out. Keep getting your comments in. We do have also a post-match reaction coming from Dave exclusively for all of you members. And then we have a Twitter Reacts later coming your way as well, seeing how everybody else around the Twitter sphere and the Spurs hemisphere reacted to this win. Any final thoughts from yourself, Nick, and Jacob too?
Oh man, I'm so happy we don't have to wait another week for another match, man. I can't I can't get enough of this Ange ball, because it's Ange ball for life. And now I'm gonna leave it right there.
We ain't going nowhere.
We never stop now, because it's Ange ball for life.
You need to make that, Nick. You need to make that song, and I will blast it all day for my wife just to make her feel better. My final thoughts are, if this don't make you happy, what will? If you are not happy watching this, if you are still upset and you still think Ainge is a garbage man and whatever they say, and this player's done, that player's done, it's fair to say. But you know what? Regardless of what you think of players, I didn't like Kulusevski or Richarlison's performance this week or last week personally. But how can I not love what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Critique a player all you want. and that's fine. That's an opinion, and opinions are there to be debated. Because if someone holds a different opinion, it's perfectly fair to debate it. So everyone's saying that they felt Son is done and finished. It's perfectly fine that you feel that way. I don't blame you. You can feel that way. I just strongly and vehemently disagree. But at this moment, how, even if you think Son is done, how can you not like what you're seeing? We beat Manchester United at home since first time in 2017? Talk to me nicely. What a day to be a Spurs fan. The whole world is taking notice, y'all. Remember that. Now everyone's talking about Tottenham differently. Everyone's bigging up and Ainge when before they said, who's this guy? Who's this Australian man? Scottish Cup, never heard of it. LOL. Everyone laughed at us. Shit, they ain't laughing now when Tottenham come to town. They're worried. They're shaking in their boots. That's my final thought. Get behind the lads. Have some fun with it. Win, lose, or draw, this is going to be a fun season. We haven't lost yet. And even when that first loss inevitably happens, I guarantee that match is going to be one hell of a match to watch regardless. So I'm having a blast, Jack. I love where we're at. I never want to go back to defensive football, even if they are proven winners, and I love them and respect them so much because they are that. I don't care. I'd rather win as much as we won with them, but playing this way. That's just how I feel. So let's all just have some fun, man. The barbecue's just started. The pool, the water's nice. Dip your feet in. Yeah, I know Scott M ain't out there. He ain't even brought his swim trunks to the barbecue. He don't want to show up to the barbecue. But when he inevitably does show up to this barbecue, this party that Ainge is throwing, he's going to not want to leave. He's going to never want to leave. Just wait until y'all come back. The barbecue's just started, man. Y'all going to have some fun. We're all going to have some fun.
Have a Barbie, Kev Williams. Enjoy your evening, my friend. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this one. Thank you for all the support. Dark Sun G, Welsh Gal, Adrian Chia. Really do appreciate it, as well as Mia W. Thank you for showing some support to the channel. Everybody, if you do have a membership, look out for some of the content that's coming your way. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into this one. And we will be back. Don't you worry. We still got plenty to go. We got a game Tuesday, so we're not going away anytime soon, everybody. We will be seeing you. Come on, you Spurs. We never stop.
Come on, you Spurs.
Ange, we trust.
Goose.
See you, everybody.
Everywhere we go.